Okay, everyone, today we are going to go through our tutorial for airfoil modeling. So I'm going to show you a few different tools to use to get your first airfoil done. So without further ado, we'll get into it. So our learning intentions are to learn the basics of airfoil modeling. We won't be doing this from scratch. We'll be using the NACA sketch plugin for Fusion 360. We'll learn how to edit sketches to create a consistent wing profile. So we'll be getting our NACA profile sketch. We'll be creating construction lines. We'll be tracing over that with a spline tool, then sizing it properly within the constraints. And the constraints in this video need to be adhered to because our machine has size constraints as well. We're going to be considering angle of attack as a design factor in our aeronautical engineering, and I'll explain to you while we're modeling why that's important. And we're also going to be considering flight stability as a factor in our aeronautical engineering as well, and that will be to do with the profile of our wings as they go from the fuselage, which is the center, to the wing tip. So the tools we're going to be using, the NACA airfoil tool, which I've shown you all how to download and where. The offset plane tool, we're going to be offsetting all of our planes before we actually start applying our sketches, and that will be where we apply our airfoil sketches, then we'll resize them and move them around. After we do all of our sketches, the process to actually make the solid form of the wing will be a loft function. We will run this as separate lofts though. So if we put all of our lofts together, it will make a kind of a curvature. What we want is more of a sharp profile for our wings, and I'll show you what that means in the sample coming up. We'll be rotating and copying sketches to find the right kind of positioning. And we'll be going for an angle of attack of about 3 degrees. We're going to be scaling and moving our sketches around to create that wing profile, and we'll only be making half of our wing. So in this case, I'll be making the left wing, and we're going to mirror that wing after it's done to create the full profile of the wing there first, okay? And this will involve a little bit of custom sketching to begin with, and then we'll move into using the NACA profile as well. One more. So in the success criteria, you'll use the NACA profile as the basis for your wing design. Your wing will taper back and up the closer the wing gets to the wing tip. And your wing will have an angle of attack of approximately 3 to 4 degrees. Okay. This might change depending on your simulations that we'll run in another tutorial. Okay, so what we have here is the sample I've completed from last year. You'll get access to this full file and you'll be able to use it as you want. And the real focus here will be on just the wings as a component. So you'll see the fuselage is here. The wings are attached to the fuselage. In this case, the wings are a subcomponent of the fuselage. We've got the nose cone here and also the tail fin mount as well. And this is 3 separate parts. So you've got the tail fin mount and the core part of the tail fin there as well. So 1, 2, and 3 components there. That's kind of designed just to slot in to say if one of them gets damaged, you can replace it, that kind of thing as well. All right, so this is one that's already done, and we're going to have a go at making this in this tutorial, starting with this model here. So I'll get straight into it. You need to make sure that you start a new component so we can separate all of these out. So I'm going to go to the new component button, and I'm just going to name this component wing. If you have any of these other components set as the active component, it'll put this component as a subcomponent of that area. Okay, so this is something I don't want you to do. So say if you have nose cone activated, then you go new component, it'll make your wing a subcomponent of the nose cone. It's not the end of the world. You can still separate all your models and files, but I think it's good practice just to separate it like this. So I've given you instructions on how to download the NACA sketch plugin for Fusion. So we'll go ahead, activate the origin of the wing. I'll activate the wing as a component. Okay, so we can see the origin of that wing component highlight there. And I'll go in and pick a plane to start sketching. So immediately under Create, I'm going to go down to my airfoil. And I'm going to type in the NACA profile number that I want to have. And it is 0010. And I'm going to take points per side down to about 12. Probably do a max of 20 if you want to. It doesn't really matter. You don't want it to be anything over 20. So I dimmed 12 here before. I might try 15 this time. It doesn't really matter. Okay, it's very hard to spot where the NACA profile goes, but it always goes to the origin. And for some reason, it doesn't always go to the position that you want it to be in. So under Sketches, if there's other objects getting in the way, you can just make them invisible. We see in this case the airfoil sketch has gone here. Cool. So I'm just going to activate the whole component so I can select that part of the sketch. And then I'm going to go Control-C. All right, I'm going to let that sketch sit there. I can turn it on and off if I need to. So I shouldn't be able to see that. I'll turn my other components back on. I'll home my view. Then I'll re-sketch on here and then paste that sketch profile into place and it'll go into the right orientation. All right. So I'll put that into position. I need to resize this and I'll need to edit this sketch as well. But I'm going to leave that in place and then go to setting out my construction planes. So what I'm going to do here is space out a series of planes. I'm going to go from 0 to 150 millimeters out. Our wings are 300 millimeters wingtip to wingtip. So I'm going to start that process now because, yeah, I'll recopy this sketch and then post it to the, copy it to the next plane out. So here, I'm going to go to New Construction Plane. I'm going to make this one just go 10 mils out. Okay, so this will be the adaptation between our fuselage and the first part of the wing profile. Okay, so there'll be a flat section here that'll then transform into our wing profile. From there, I'm going to go back to my original. Then this one will be 120 millimeters. And then a final one at the full 150 millimeters. Okay, so that's what it should look like. I've got a plane here, one here, and then 2 out here. So 4 in total. Right, and you'll see this in your model tree as well. If you activate the wing profile, so I might try and move all these construction planes that I've just made to the wing profile. There we go. So I misplaced them. I just put them in the general model tree. But what I've done there is I've control selected the planes that I wanted to put into the wing component, and I've just dragged and dropped them, and now you'll see them here. That's good, that worked well. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and grab this sketch. I'm not going to mess with this original sketch too much. What I'm going to do is keep that there, but then I'll copy it and move a fresh unedited copy here. and then we'll start to play around with that. So I'll go back in. Just move that sketch profile there. I'll go right click and edit. And then I'll take this profile here and I'll start to edit it. Once I'm happy with it, then I'll copy it out to the next plane. So the first thing I've done, you'll see here, this is a solid blue line. So that could be modeled out. What I'm going to do here is trace over this with my spline tool. And I'll turn this into construction line so I can use it as like a reference, okay? So next thing I'll do is I will change the size of it. So I'll go to select, drag a box around, modify and sketch scale, okay? But before I do that, actually, I've got to draw myself a construction box. So in construction mode, I'll go P and use the top of this fuselage. So you can see that's now a clickable line I can use as a reference. Then I'm going to go, it doesn't really matter where your box goes to determine the wings, the size of the wings, but your max profile is 110 by 30. So 110 down the bottom and 30. That's the maximum profile, the maximum size that your wings can take in the Z and Y dimensions. The X dimension is 300, as we've gone over before. Okay, so we'll click that in place. Now this wing has to fit inside this construction box. So I'll go back to select. I'll go to modify and sketch scale. So entities, I've got 95 of these points selected, and the point that I will expand them around, I'll just make it the origin, and we'll see how that goes. So here, I'm just going to extend it. So notice how it's growing and scaling from that midpoint here. So it's moving out as I scale it up. I can always move it back after I do it as well. Okay, so I'm going to keep it about there. I'm going to go OK, and then move this back. I'll move it down a little bit as well. So that still has a bit more room to move. So I'll go and select the same sketch again. I'll go modify sketch scale again. Select my point as the origin. And there, I'm pretty much done. I'm being careful to exclude parts of the sketch that I don't want to pick up, and I'll move that back into position as well. There we go. Okay, so once I've got that to size, I'm going to trace over this with my spline tool, and I'm going to make sure I keep a copy of that out. So with the spline tool, I'm going to start at the wingtip and end at the wingtip. Okay? So I'm going to make sure I'm off construction mode. I'm going to start clicking, and all you need to do is to click on the points here. Super easy. The NACA profile is already done for you. So you've got to make sure that you're clicking on these anchor points. Okay? We might need to do a little bit of editing of these anchor points, but it does a pretty good job of evening everything out for us. And what this will do is make, a really smooth profile for us to model from. Okay, and there. All right. We know that's good because it's turned a light shade of blue. We can select it as a sketch profile. But the one thing that isn't quite right here, this is actually done okay. Usually what it makes here is a sharp corner. I'll go through and do the proper process. So sometimes it'll make a sharp corner for you. In this case, it's made a little bit of a rounded corner, but you need to realize this is going to be machined out of polystyrene or balsa. So when we're getting down to very thin areas, it'll become feathery and weak, and if it takes a hit or anything like that, it's going to be damaged. Okay, so we need to firstly just get our scale in proportion. So this is about 1 millimeter here. So what I'm going to do here is put a little round at the back. That can be an arc or a circle. There's a number of ways you could do it. So an easy way is to just cut it like this. Then trim out the parts that you don't want. Okay, and then you can go in and use the blend curve tool. If it's going to work for me. No, it doesn't want to work for me. That's okay. You can also use the tangent arc. Hopefully this will work for me. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to round that off. And I can check the diameter of this circle here, radius diameter, just under 1 millimeter. That should be okay. If you're not sure whether some of the lines are actually tangential, so this is a tangent symbol here, that little circle with the line on it. What you would do is select this line, and then select tangent. Okay? So that will reorganize that line to ensure that it's tangential. That'll be under constraints, okay? All right, I've finished that sketch. I am going to edit this further, but that is the profile that I'm going to use for all of my aerofoils from this point out. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to go Control-C, copy. Sorry, I need to make sure I'm editing the sketch first. Edit sketch. Select the sketch, Control-C, finish sketch, and then we're going to move out to the next plane. Add a sketch there, Control-V. Finish sketch. I could even go out here and Control-V again. And sketch, Control-V as well. All right, if I was to loft all of those, it would just create the same wing profile all the way through. Now I need to go back into my original profile here and adapt this with a flat section at the bottom. So I need to kind of cut this off along the bottom and change the angle of this so it fits flatly onto the top of my fuselage. So I will select the sketch, go modify, move copy, and I'm just going to click once on the rotate button. So here, -5 degrees, I'm going to go to -4 and see how that looks. -3. That's pretty good. Next, what I'm going to do is draw a flat portion. I'm going to start about here. I'll use my grid to make sure it's going flat. And I'll cut through my wing profile about here. Oops, I use spline and not line. I'll do that again. So here to here. Finish the line chain with the green tick. And what I want is to remove all the parts of this sketch profile except for the flat portion and the top portion of the wing. You can hold down using the trim tool, and it'll act like an eraser. Okay, there's a little bit of that wingtip there at the back. I'm not going to worry about that so much right now. Okay. I could try and do things like, maybe move around this anchor point, but it might be constrained in. I'm fairly happy with that. As long as I have a flat portion to connect to my model, I'm going to be okay. So one thing I'm noticing about this is I'm missing a section. So I'm going to have to backtrack just a little bit because I've taken out this part here. There we go. There we go. So if you lose that blue shaded area, just trace back. Keep in mind you've got construction lines as well as solid lines. Okay, now I've got the flat portion of my wing ready to go, and I'll try and fabricate this and do the best I can with that. So what I'll do here is I'll try and snap this profile to my fuselage. So I'll select this profile here. I'll go to modify, move copy, and I'll see if I can do a point-to-point move. So select point here, target point. All right, so what I might need to do here is make a point. So if I go down to create, sorry guys. So if I make a point here below that point I want to move it to, it should work for me. So select that profile sketch again, making sure you have enough room. Modify, move copy, point to point, origin point here, target point here. There we go. And okay. So that's the first part of my profile done. Okay. Now, the planes that I've applied my other sketches to have disappeared because I've applied a sketch to them. So I'll finish this sketch, and then I'll get to modelling the rest of my wing. So I'll go down here. Girls, if you could pay attention, I'd really appreciate it. Same with the rest of you. I know it's dry, just getting a lecture on this, but it is really important. You're going to be in this process very, very soon. So sketch 2 is the next one that I want to manipulate. I'm not going to do any scaling with this one. I'm going to leave it as is, but I am going to change the angle of attack. So here I'm going to go right-click, edit sketch. I'm going to select this sketch, modify, move copy. Just click once on this rotation bar, and Z angle minus 5 degrees. I'm going to change that to minus 3.5. Okay, so the loft will go from here to here, and that'll be a little bit of a raising action there. Okay, so I'll finish that sketch. Now this one, I'm going to maintain the same angle of attack all the way out. So sketch 3, right-click, edit, select the whole sketch, modify, move copy. It is repetitive, so it shouldn't be too hard to learn. negative 3.5. Great. But what I'm also going to do here is select my sketch again, move copy, and I'm going to raise it up. By 5 millimeters. Okay. Then I'm also going to select that sketch profile and go to modify sketch scale. I'm going to select the point like I did before, origin point, and I'm actually going to scale this one down by 75%. So I'm going to type in 0.75 as a decimal, enter. And you'll see how that's become slightly smaller, and you'll see what effect this will have as we go out. I'm going to make sure, because this is a delta wing design, the trailing edge of the wing should be relatively flat and in line. So I'm going to do one more move here and move that more or less in line with the back of the wing before. So you'll see there's the profile before, and there's my profile. Keep dragging it until you're happy. There we go. All right, now the last profile that we do will be a wing tip. And we're actually nearly there, which is really good. So right-click, edit sketch. So I'm going to go to modify, move copy, rotate, minus 3.5 degrees. You might want to experiment with your angle of attack as you go through. I'm going to raise this up 10 mils. I'm going to modify and scale this down by 50%. If the bell goes, guys, just please stay here for 1 sec. I can finish the tutorial. Okay. And then I'm going to move this into the proper position. And because this is a wing tip and there's only 30 millimeters between the profile before, that's what my wing tip will look like. Looks pretty good. I'll leave it like that. Okay, that's most of the work done there. So I'm going to go finish sketch, and then I'm going to link all 4 of these profiles together. So this is where it gets really satisfying, because you can actually see your work kind of coming together. So I'm going to loft these wing parts from the outside in. If I look at this from the right-hand side, I can see that all of my wing profiles are within that box that I created to begin with. Yeah? So I know that it's going to work for me when I put it into the machine, into the CNC. So here, I'm going to go Loft. I'm going to click on this profile and this profile. And then I'm going to go OK. This guy's quiet. All right, if you lose a sketch, when you interact with it, you'll lose that sketch profile. You can make it visible here as well. You might be able to get away with actually using that face there. So here, Loft again. To the next profile. OK. And then finally, Loft. This profile to this one. Okay. I just made one tiny little mistake there. That's all right. I'm going to take this profile here, extrude it out, and then I'm going to actually loft between here and here. So loft, profile, profile, really nice and smooth. Because the reason this works so well is because I've used the same sketch profile consistently copied out the whole way. Now finally, to complete our wing profile, we go to bodies, select body 1, create mirror, We've already selected our bodies. We've already got our object selected. It just needs a mirror plane. And this will create a new body. Mirror plane. And there you have it. Your very first wing profile. Okay? So that was really well timed. I would like you guys to work on that. That'll be up as a YouTube video next lesson. It's not that hard. And this should fly, okay? So from here, we'll go to simulation. We'll use the same model to simulate, and that will enable us to do tweaks to our design, okay? Thanks, everybody. I've got to do my thanks for watching page. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one. Bye. Thank you. Thank you for staying awake.